How is that? I have it on. Hello, can you hear me? I don't want to knock anybody's mic off here. Maybe better hold it, Sean. I know you're always good. Thank you all for being here. I'm Rodney Ellis, one of the members of the Harris County Commissioners Court. And I appreciate my district attorney being here today and also a representative from one of my colleagues' offices. As you know, last Tuesday morning, a Harris County resident was shot and killed by ICE during a federal immigration operation. Lorenzo Salgado Araujo was a father, a husband, a small business owner, and a valued member of this community. This is not the first time federal immigration agents have killed people in the streets. We've seen this unfold in communities across our country, and we know all eyes of the nation happen to be on Harris County right now. There are other cases involved, including one that was just in the news this morning. Our message is clear. Lorenzo Salgado Araujo, his life mattered, it had value. His family deserves answers. Harris County residents deserve answers. The American people deserve answers. I must say, on a personal note, I saw two of his sons speak at a memorial service at a labor hall. I can't not imagine having the ability to speak as articulately as those two young men did in the face of dealing with this tragedy. Our district attorney in Harris County, Sean Tier, has taken an important step by opening an independent investigation. His responsibility is to follow the facts wherever they lead. Our responsibility as a Harris County Commissioners Court is to make sure he has the resources to do so. I cannot speak for a majority of the court, but I do know that I think that there will be tremendous support from my colleagues on Commissioners Court to give him those resources. That's why I will bring an item before Commissioners Court to fund this independent investigation and ensure that our DA's office has all of the necessary resources to thoroughly pursue every lead and preserve every fact. This tragedy happened in Harris County in a neighborhood to one of our Harris County residents. We have not only the authority, but also the obligation to investigate. Commissioners Court has taken steps to fund independent investigations in the past. This case deserves nothing less. In the wake of similar incidents across our country, we cannot ask the public to take ICE or DHS at their word and simply accept their account of the various agencies involved, any more than if it was a tragedy involving our local entities. We want to make sure that people can have confidence in the investigation that is being done. I happen to be a former board member. In fact, I chaired the Board of the Innocence Project out of New York for about 14 years when I was in the state Senate. I stepped down, I think, maybe a year and a half into my term as a Harris County Commissioner. I had the privilege of chatting with Barry Scheck earlier this morning, one of the co-founders, and Peter Newfield a short while ago. I know that one reason why independent investigations exist and why we must leverage them to pursue the facts anytime there's a tragic incident. That's exactly what our district attorney is doing and why I support him. And I hope that we'll have the support of the Commissioners Court, hopefully a majority. How we respond in this moment matters to the Salgado Araujo family and for every family that deserves to know that their government exercises its greatest power, the power to take life. It also has responsibility to answer for its actions. History will judge how this moment was handled, and Harris County should be able to say we did everything within our power to preserve the evidence and uncover the facts, the truth. At this time, I want to turn it over to our district attorney for Harris County, Sean Tier.
Thank you, Commissioner. And to everyone here, Thank you for continuing to support an independent review of this case. The DA's office is conducting a parallel independent investigation of this case, just like we do in every single officer-involved shooting where someone in this community loses their life. This is no different than anything else we do day in and day out. We have an incredibly robust civil rights division who goes out to these scenes, who works collaboratively with the investigating agency and finds the truth. Because any time that a member of our community loses their life at the hands of law enforcement, we in law enforcement run the risk of losing the credibility that we've worked so hard to build up with the communities that we are in. In this case, it's different. The federal government has not invited us in. The federal government is not collaborating to this point with us in this investigation, which is why I am so grateful to Commissioner Ellis and to our Commissioner's Court for working with us to help fund what we need to do. As I said, we have a very robust civil rights division, but it's because we're the third largest county in the United States. We have cases that come all the time. We are staffed to do that with the anticipation that law enforcement will collaborate and work with us. In this case, we're having to do it by ourselves. We're going to need additional resources in order to do that. I want to continue to remind the public that we have our own independent, secure portal for any tips, for any footage, for anyone who was out there that day. Whether or not you think what you have is relevant, send it. Please let us know. No one else has access to it. Our investigators are manning it 24 hours a day so that we can look at everything. At the end of this, however long it takes, and in all likelihood, this will take many, many months, potentially years, before we finally get the answers that we all need, but we will not rest, and we cannot do it without the support of the public and the support of our commissioners. So that is what we are doing. We are running this investigation so that we can be transparent, so that the community as a whole, all of Harris County, all of Texas, and quite frankly, all of the United States can know what happened out there on that Tuesday morning, and if someone needs to be held accountable, they will be. And with that, I'll give it back to the Commissioner. Thank you.
So this happened in Commissioner Adrian Garcia's precinct. He is in Los Angeles for the NALEO conference, National Association of Latino Elected Officials. One of my other colleagues, Commissioner Briones, is there as well. So I have Paulo Pena from her office who's going to speak, give a segment in English. Unless you want me to do the Spanish? She'll speak in Spanish as well. Thank you. Come on, Paulo.
Good afternoon. Thank you, elected officials and members of the media, for being here today. My name is Paola Pina Valeria with Commissioner Leslie Briones' office, and I will be sharing the following statement on her behalf. Our United States Constitution guarantees due process and equal protection to all. After a series of inconsistent statements and a lack of transparency from the federal government, we are taking action locally. The Harris County District Attorney's Office is best equipped to lead an independent investigation to the death of Lorenzo Salgado Araujo, and I am proud to support dedicated funding for this investigation. As a lawyer, a former civil court judge, wife, and a mother, nothing is more important to me than ensuring Harris County is a safe place for all families and that everyone's constitutional rights are protected. Over the past week, I've heard from many county residents on this issue. Their message and my message is clear. We demand full transparency and accountability. The Salgado family deserves the truth, and we will seek it. Now I'll give my remarks in Spanish. Buenas tardes a todos y a todas. Gracias a nuestros funcionarios públicos aquí presentes y a representantes de los medios. Soy Paola Piña Valeria de la oficina de la comisionada Leslie Briones y comparto el siguiente mensaje en su nombre. Nuestra Constitución de los Estados Unidos garantiza el debido proceso y la igualdad de protección para todos. Tras una serie de declaraciones contradictorias y la falta de transparencia por parte del gobierno federal, estamos tomando medidas a nivel local. La Fiscalía del Condado Harris es la más capacitada para dirigir una investigación independiente sobre la muerte de Lorenzo Salgado Araujo y me enorgullece apoyar la asignación de fondos específicos para esta investigación. Como abogada, ex jueza, esposa y madre, nada es más importante para mí que garantizar que el Condado Harris sea un lugar seguro para todas las familias y proteger nuestros derechos constitucionales. Durante la última semana he recibido comentarios de la comunidad sobre este asunto. Su mensaje y mi mensaje es claro. Exigimos total transparencia y rendición de cuentas. La familia Salgado se merece la verdad y la buscaremos. Gracias.
Okay, we'll take some questions. Would you just say who you are and use that outside voice? Yes.
David? Tanya Bogart, Michael. I'm wondering if the DA's office does get evidence from the scene of the shooting and video, will it be shared with the public by any chance?
The short answer is eventually. Yes, but the way that we maintain the integrity of this case, because we are treating this like we treat every other case, until we make a charging decision, we are going to hold all the evidence so that we can evaluate it and eventually present it to a grand jury without risk of tainting the grand jury in any other way. But at the culmination of this investigation, regardless of whether it results in charges or in a no bill, we will let the public see why we got to that determination. So yes, anything that is ultimately recovered, we will do our best to make it public as soon as possible. But my primary goal right now is to maintain the integrity of this investigation and the integrity of any case that we subsequently file.
Now, would you be able to speak to the volume of tips and evidence, maybe the volume of calls or the types of evidence that you were able to recover?
In the very broadest way, I can say that we have had an incredible outpouring of support and communication with our office from our community as a whole. As to specifics of what we've gotten and who we've gotten it from, I'm not going to go into that for the exact reason we talked about of the integrity of the case. But from the moment the portal opened to even before that, the community has rallied around this family. They've rallied around all of us Houstonians and in Harris County because I truly believe they want to know what happened.
Can you quantify it a little bit? Is it hundreds? Is it thousands of tips? Is it?
We have certainly gotten well over 100 communications.
Has anybody from your office been able to speak to the other 3 persons that are detained?
So I'm not going to get into who we've talked to, who we haven't talked to. We continue to try to get access to every shred of evidence that we can, and that absolutely includes any eyewitness statements. So I'm not going to go into specifics, but rest assured we are going down every avenue available to us in order to get every shred of evidence, including eyewitness statements.
Have you had any contact whatsoever with ICE or DHS on this?
We have been in contact with the local HSI, ICE, special agents in charge. I spoke to her yesterday. She let me know that they are not running this investigation, the local side of it. We had a very fine conversation, but it wasn't substantive in any way. We've attempted to communicate with any number of federal agencies. We've had varying success in that.
The commission speaking to the local office, they're not in charge of the investigation, but have they elaborated on if they're going to help you connect with the DHS agents that are in charge of this?
I'm not going to get into any more specifics about what they said, but we have yet to speak to the investigative agency or the investigative branch that is actually looking into the shooting.
You next. Let's do you next.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, for Commissioner Ellis and DA Tier, two-part question. One, can you talk about exactly how much funding you're proposing? And DA Tier, can you talk about what kind of resources this will provide for your office for the investigation?
We're going through the budget process now. We don't know. It would be a guess at this point. I met briefly with his team. They know what they're doing. They're very thorough. I do know that we had a immigrant legal defense fund. So as I'm looking for pots of money, I did mention that to the budget director this morning, but wherever it leads us, whatever it costs within reason, it's important enough for us to do it. I know we have a shortfall, but you always have to prioritize. We're going through that process now. When he leaves here, he's going to a budget meeting. But it may take his team a couple of weeks, a month, to figure out exactly what they need.
And as to what would be in that ask for us, as Commissioner Ellis said, we don't quite frankly know. And the last thing that I ever want to do as a someone that cares about the fiscal health of this entire county is go ask for something that I quite frankly couldn't use. I want to be very detailed when we ask, but in the general sense, it would be for additional prosecutors and investigators and things like that.
I do have a question. There's obviously still fear. There's a lot of people that are also upset because we haven't really heard of as an update into the investigation, but we also haven't heard about the agents as far as who they are, where they are, if they're still operating. And a lot of people are also worried because of what just happened just hours ago in Maine, and perhaps those agents also didn't have body camera footage. So what are you guys doing moving forward to make sure that these ICE agents here in the city and in the county are being held accountable and have the proper equipment?
So what we are doing here is exactly what you see right now. We are conducting an investigation and going down every avenue we can simply to identify the agents involved in this shooting. We're almost a week in and no one on the state level knows who they were or where they are right now. That's unacceptable, and it's something that doesn't happen, right? I've been in this office for almost 20 years. I can tell you that with every state or local officer involved in a shooting, the DA's office knows that officer's identity within 12 hours at the outset. In this case, we're 6 days and we don't know. So that's something as to whether or not they are properly equipped, that you've got to direct that question to the Department of Homeland Security and to our congressional representatives. But tragically, we are an entity that in this case has to be reactionary. We have to deal with things after they happen. And that's what we're trying to do in order to maintain the public trust, at least in our local law enforcement.
Right here. Right. And then we'll do you next. You
What
next.
are some of those pointers or things that are reactionary in this case that we're looking to investigate? You talked about, our colleague just said there's no media evidence to who this agent was and who these agents were. So what are some of those pointers or things that are looking to tackle?
So we are, again, every avenue of investigation, from surveillance to eyewitnesses to asking the public for help, and not just at the scene of this shooting. We've got to go backwards. We've got to find locations and places that these agents were before. We're doing everything we can to identify these agents through the ways that we investigate crimes every single day in Harris County. In most cases not involving law enforcement, we have a suspect who we don't know the name of. we're very good at identifying individuals that don't want to be identified. I think it is an amazing statement in 2026 that we're standing here and we're alluding to federal law enforcement agents who don't want to be identified. But that's where we are. We know how to go about doing it.
On the day of the shooting, do you have a rough estimate or recollection of at what time the DA's office found out about the shooting and at what time you also had investigators out?
So without going into specific timelines, I can tell you that we were apprised of the shooting by the Houston Police Department while the scene was still active. We were also apprised that we were not invited onto that scene. And so it was hours and hours and hours after the scene was, what we say in law enforcement, clear, before our investigators were allowed to get onto the scene. The second that happened, we began our data collection, our evidence collection that is continuing today. We have investigators and prosecutors out in that vicinity right now while I'm up here talking to you in order to continue to investigate.
I'm wondering if you could kind of go into a little bit of detail about sort of the state of HPD right now, since they're sort of going to be the front lines of having to deal with all this stuff, despite all the ICE agents already pretty much publicly left the area. So how do you kind of maintain that balance?
So I think that question is probably better asked of Chief Diaz and the command staff over there. I can tell you that my office and myself speak almost daily with HPD. We have a very, very close working relationship with them. I know to a person they are doing everything they can to ensure the safety of the community from every potential avenue. So, yeah, how they're going to deal with what is obviously a ramping up, an uptick of ICE enforcement here, that's something they're going to have to answer.
More of a statement. We, as journalists, of course, part of our job is to also investigate, and we've gone door to door, have talked to the residents, and we've also have seen camera footage that has been released, but we also have seen where some of the city has cameras in certain points of the city, including that intersection of East Side and Canal Street. Is there anything that you can provide to us in the sense of if you guys also have some sort of assurance that those cameras were working and that you guys are also looking into that?
So I would love to stand up here and tell the public everything we've done. What I can assure you is, like I said earlier, we're the third largest county in the United States. I have over 100 sworn officers that are investigators inside my office. We have almost 400 prosecutors. We are one of the most proactive investigative DA's offices in the United States. We are conducting this investigation as thoroughly as any investigation that I've been a part of since I started as an intern here in 2005. All that being said, with almost 5 million residents, it's why Commissioner Ellis and the Commissioners Court understand the need for supplemental funding on this, because I've got enough people to do our everyday things. In pretty short order, I'm going to need to move some of the investigators that we have tasked 24/7 right now to collecting evidence in this back to the things that we're asking them to do every day. So I would love to tell you everything we're getting. I'm not going to, because I know the end of this is so important, but rest assured, if surveillance is to be gotten, we're getting it.
DH here, has your
Boom and then boom.
Okay. I was hoping that you could speak big picture. We've talked to a lot of people in that community. There's still a lot of fear. You've, I think, laid out things very well about the fact that the federal government is not helping you with the investigation. There's distrust of law enforcement overall because of how ICE is acting in
Right.
this community. Can you speak to how that impacts the relationship between law enforcement and the local community, and how it would impact your job in trying to prosecute and trying to get witness statements and trying to get people to come forward when that trust has, I I don't know what word to describe, but it is possibly broken because of how ICE is acting in this.
Yeah, I think that is probably one of the things that we've lost in these discussions. Whatever the stated reason for ICE's tactics over the last almost 2 years to reduce crime or whatever it is having the 180-degree opposite effect in Harris County. It is making it more difficult for my office to prosecute violent offenders and hold them accountable, whether or not their targets and their victims were documented or not. We have sexual assaults of children that I can't prosecute because the outcry witness is too scared to participate. We have aggravated robbery victims who will not come forward and call the police because of their status, allowing people out there to prey on victims without any repercussions. We are not able to hold violent criminals accountable as well because of the tactics of ICE. Full stop. That is absolutely what's happening. And if you look across the board, the undocumented population in this country commits crimes at a lower rate than any other population. They're scared to get speeding tickets. We created a solution without, quite frankly, a problem compared to the rest of the population. And so, at the end of the day, this is having the wrong effect. It's making it more difficult for us to hold violent criminals accountable.
I know you are saying you don't want to get into specifics on what exactly.
But we're going to keep talking about specifics. I get it.
I just wanted to ask, has your office gotten access to Mr. Salvado's van? And if not, is there a point where you would take legal action to get access?
So we are still trying to get access to a number of key pieces of evidence. What those pieces are, I'm not going to go into. We are going to continue to request. We are going to continue to ask. At some point, it becomes a place where we stop asking and we start asking district court judges in state court and federal court to grant us access. So where that line is something for people smarter than me inside my office to tell me, but rest assured, as I said earlier, there is no avenue that we're not going to go down in order to get a full and complete picture of what happened.
You said this might take months or years.
Okay.
One
You
more.
said this might take months or years to figure out. Is there a particular distinction point on what separates months and years? Is it just the video footage, ICE participation? Or how's that work?
There are a number of different things that will really contribute to the length of time of this investigation. Certainly, it's the collaboration and cooperation of the federal government. That's going to either shrink or lengthen the time that we are going to be investigating before we make a decision and present this to a grand jury. But there's also a number of other things as well that having been a part of this for a long time, I can tell you we can't anticipate right now how evidence is going to play out. I mean, you can't work backwards from this. We've got to continue to follow the evidence and go where it takes us. And however long it takes, I have the utmost confidence in Commissioner Ellis and the rest of our court to continue to support us, because every one of us understands how incredibly important it is to get to the bottom and get answers for the community.
So I want to thank Commissioner Briones'
Yes.
office for being here and her for her support. And I want to say this about our DA. A lot of district attorneys, if something like this happened in our community, would talk about what they could not do. This district attorney has told you today he's going to do what he can do. So if you have other questions, his team is very transparent. They're real good now. You send them to him, they'll answer them. I know he's getting a lot of media requests, and he has a budget here to go to. And my team and I are very transparent as well. So thank you all for coming. All right?
Thank you, guys.
Oh. Well, that's their mic.
And that's,
Yeah.
oh, yeah.